The NFL is the biggest football league in the States where multiple teams are pit against each other to find out who will stand victorious. But sometimes fatal injuries happen that chronically become apparent, as was the case with wide receiver Vincent Jackson. We got more news on the wide receiver, so stay tuned for Vincent Jackson. First, the case of Vincent Jackson. The wide receiver of the Buccaneers and the former wide receiver of the Chargers, Vincent Jackson, was unfortunately found in a hotel room in Florida in the early months of this year. The cause of his death was not disclosed, as the diagnosis was not presented publicly, but more news has surfaced regarding the incident. He was found deceased in his hotel room, and his body was recovered and taken to a nearby hospital for autopsy and further examination. Finally, news regarding the reasoning behind his death has been disclosed, as we have been informed that he had been diagnosed with stage 2 CTE, which is known as chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which was announced by the Concussion Legacy Foundation recently on Thursday. It was the cold month of February when he was found dead in his hotel room in Brandon, Florida. His family was pretty concerned about him going missing out of nowhere, and they tried to locate where he'd exactly gone. He decided to stay in the hotel room for a while, and he had stayed for more than a month in the room. He was around 38 years old at the time of his death. Next up, decisions and comments by his family. His wife, Lindsay Jackson, had a few words to say in an interview regarding him and his personality. She misses him dearly, and she's having a hard time dealing with his departure. She had to say that Vincent was a kind and helpful man. He had dedicated so much of his life to trying to help others in need. Even when he has passed away, he wants his legacy preserved, and his wife wants to do exactly that. His family has decided to donate his brain to the cause of CTE. The VA-BU-CLF Brain Bank has decided to acquire his brain to find further breakthroughs and advancements in CTE research, which will enable physicians to progress in the research and diagnosis of the disease, and through enough trial and error, they might find a cure for the disease through the stages of its progression. There's not much research and advancement in finding a cure for this disease, and a lot has still gone undiscovered in the field of research, and people need to be educated about it, as that is the real key in the prevention of the disease in its early stages. Not a lot of people know about CTE, so there needs to be a conversation around the topic, and hopefully more people will start becoming comfortable in regards to talking about the disease. What is CTE? CTE is a condition where the brain degenerates due to the repeated blows that occur to the head, which is pretty common in football. It affects many mental and cognitive abilities such as mood, thinking, attention, focus, and alertness. Protein called tau accumulates in the brain and can't be diagnosed whether the person is living, and can't be found in traditional autopsy as well. Dr. Ann McKee, chief of neuropathology for VA Boston, said that Vincent Jackson was a brilliant and gentle human being, but his life began to change as he progressed into his mid-30s, where complications with CTE began. He started facing progressive memory loss, along with bouts of depression. His problem-solving skills started to become progressively worse, and he started having bouts of paranoia, which led to his extreme social isolation. CTE has been a common cause of death among football players, and so little is being done to reduce the repetitive concussion hits within the sport. CTE won't disappear by negligence or ignorance, but needs to be addressed within the NFL's safety rules and regulations, and to support the players who are struggling with the disease. Up next, Jennifer King becomes first Black female position coach. Congrats to Jennifer King, as she stepped in as running backs coach of the Washington football team, which has made her the first Black woman to become a lead position coach. She received a glowing appraisal from the head coach, Ron River, due to her promotion, and said that the sky is the limit. He had a lot of good things to say about her, like she's a hard worker, quality person, and a good communicator. Let's cover cancellation discussions amidst COVID-19. It seems like COVID is rearing its ugly head again as it surges in COVID cases amidst the new wave of threatening to disrupt the NFL season once again. The league has unfortunately decided to cancel 3 games last week for the first time since the last lockdown due to the pandemic. The NFL Players Association decided to cancel games which will involve Washington, Cleveland, and the Los Angeles Rams. Next, Elijah Mitchell's injuries. Elijah Mitchell unfortunately missed his last 2 games as he had to deal with a barrage of multiple injuries. Fortunately, he recovered from the injuries he had to deal with and finally was able to rejoin the San Francisco 49ers for his match on Thursday night. The general manager of the team revealed during a Tuesday appearance on KNBR 680 that the rookie, Elijah Mitchell's lingering knee injury has finally started to recover to the point that he can finally participate in practice matches and team activities once again. The first-year player had injured his knee and had to deal with a concussion in a Week 13 loss to Seattle's team. The injuries had unfortunately caused Mitchell to drop out, and he had to be sidelined for the 14th and 15th weeks, and this had left the RB1 duties to Jeff Wilson. Wilson had to compile a combined 34 carries, and he had to do this for 166 yards, and he did this to score a win over Atlanta on Sunday. The update Lynch gave, and with the news of Mitchell being cleared of the concussion diagnosis and protocol on Monday, means that his return to the football field is pretty near, and it could mean that San Francisco will have a bigger chance of winning its matches in the near future. Claypool costs the Steelers a game. The Pittsburgh Steelers are already in a very difficult position, and they have a lot to worry about considering their current circumstances. Pittsburgh is currently sitting 4th in the AFC North and has 137 points in its past 4 games, so the hopes of Pittsburgh participating in the playoffs seem pretty slim to us. If things couldn't get any worse for Pittsburgh, they did, as the actions of Chase Claypool later in their 36-28 loss to the Minnesota Vikings on Friday made things even worse for them. Everyone has been demoralized and tired, and things don't seem to be going well for the Pittsburgh team. Although the 23-year-old is a seriously talented and important part of the team and is a key component in Pittsburgh's progression in the NFL, as he made a lot of progress last year, talent can only make so much of a person's arsenal, and it can't excuse the kind of stunts that Claypool pulled on Friday night. The Steelers' mistakes. Pittsburgh had fallen to a 29-0 hole by the third quarter, and it had to work hard to storm back into the competition and was on the verge of a stunning comeback. Claypool caught a 4th down pass from Ben Roethlisberger in order to keep Pittsburgh's final drive. Winning championships is about making big decisions, but Claypool made a big fluke in the heat of the moment, and it was an action that he probably still regrets even now. Claypool happily prepared for a first down instead of mentally preparing himself for the next snap. The Steelers' guard, Try Turner, had realized that everything was at stake due to Claypool's ignorance and bolted towards Claypool in hopes of reaching for the ball, but instead it got knocked out. This early celebration proved very costly, as it had ended up costing Pittsburgh an extra shot at an 8-point play, which was direly needed to level the game. The Steelers had no timeouts and had to deal with just one chance to tie everything up, but Ben Roethlisberger was unable to complete the pass to the rookie tight end, Pat Freiermuth. Things became even worse for Claypool, as he was benched in the first quarter by Mike Tomlin for shoving the Vikings cornerback, Bashaud Breeland. Tomlin asked whether benching Claypool would have an effect on his behavior. Tomlin had bluntly replied with, "We'll see." Comments on Claypool. ESPN's Ryan Clark did not have anything nice to say about Chase Claypool. He said that Chase Claypool is emotionally and mentally underdeveloped in contrast to his overdeveloped physique. He has everything that he ever needs physically to become the best football player in the history of the NFL, but he is mentally not at the level to be a good football player. He has a long way to go when it comes to strategizing, making smart and wise decisions, and to be an overall team player. Ryan said that Claypool is extremely self-centered and only cares about himself and not the whole team and the team's success, and that's one of the aspects that is bringing down the Pittsburgh Steelers and the organization as a whole. And that's all. Thanks for watching.